Good morning. Welcome to the Jason Bramblett Real Estate Show. Hope everybody's enjoying their Saturday as we knock off. Well, here we are at the end of June. How about that? And if you haven't felt it, it's also summertime. Like another 90-something degree, just they keep all these 90-degree plus days coming in. So
it got close to 100 last week. I don't think it got there, but that's close enough.
My lawn went from lush, beautiful green to like just a bunch of burn up nothings now.
There's not enough water in the world to get there.
No, I gave up. I was trying to keep up with it, but oh my goodness, there's just no way. But hey, that's North Carolina. It's summer has hit for sure. Now, how about real estate? Hot or cold? Well, I've been having some interesting conversations this week with some of our agents and clients, and I don't know, we're going to take a quick little peek under the hood, and I'll give you some ideas of what they're saying out there in the world, and you may be surprised. Actually, I've talked with multiple people and gave them some information, and they were very surprised about some of the comments of the overall market. And hey, it's just, I don't know, it's interesting people giving some opinions out here about, the melting down of the world in some degree, right? And I don't know, I'm just not seeing it. So I'm going to share with you what I've been hearing, and hey, I'd love to get your thoughts. Go over to the website. You go to jasonbramlettrealestate.com, click on that email icon, and give me your opinion of what you think is going on in the real estate world, or you can call the office if you want, 553-0796.
Well, let's start off with that. Let's talk about what the word on the street is about the real estate market. Are we in good shape, or is it like a C word thing? Cliff.
Yeah.
the word we never say.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no kidding. It's very interesting, and I think that's why we should talk about it. Some are seeing some of the most amazing returns on their houses and just deciding to go ahead and cash out their equity, sell the house, and some of it is like some people are like, well, inventory's still it's still low, and I don't know if I want to buy because I just can't find the house I'm looking for or whatever. And then there's this kind of larger group in the middle that I call them the frozen. they're just stuck. They're not sure. They don't know what to do. They're just like, and a lot of it is, I can gauge it by age. Older they are, the more conservative because they don't want to make that mistake.
Sure,
right?
It's harder to recover from.
Very much so. No different than the stock market, right? I mean, if you wrote it down over the years and then decided to sell, you're probably beating your head against the wall right now because what is it, up to like 55,000 or something crazy like that?
Yeah.
It's something nuts. And so I do know some people that probably sold a little early and they don't want to do it in real estate. And here's the thing. I mean, the truth of it is all the history we've got, nobody knows. I mean, we can look at everything. We can look at every chart. We can look at every demographic. It's just the fact that there's no great, huge predictability. I can't even speak this morning. Predictability to where it may go until you're kind of already in it. Like you're already in the soup one way or the other. And I don't know why we do this. We just came out of like one of the best run-ups on housing prices that we've probably had in, 20 years. But we always migrate right back to, but it could all, come back down, and I don't want to be underwater.
But it seems to me like technology changes the game every time. Like you can look at what's happened and maybe X, Y, and Z happened and this happened the last 10 times. But did we have the internet? Did we have the,
Sure.
Did we have, there's a lot of different things in play now that weren't in play before. So there's no way to know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's just absolutely, and speaking to that technology, I mean, a lot of people that I talk to, I would say actually almost every single person that we're talking to, and if you got a letter from me in the mail, it is legit. That is me sending you that letter. Right? It's not some weird AI thing, and I attempted to write
think.
it. Yes, I attempted to write it in a way in which you could hear that it was a true real person, and that has been the feedback I've received. Is you guys called me because you could, it did seem like a personal letter, which it is. We're very specific in who we send that to. But speaking of tech, I spoke to somebody the other day, and he said he's getting anywhere between 8 to 10 text messages a day about buying his house. A day.
Oh, I mean, most of them I have blocked at this point, but yeah, same thing.
Yes, and I think, do you ever get those phone calls where it just rings once and you're like hello, and then it just disconnects? Mm-hmm. I think that's just them like, okay, they haven't blocked this number. We'll start.
Yeah, they're checking to see if the number's good.
Yeah, they're exactly. So, to Keith's point, yes, tech has definitely changed our industry for sure. I mean, definitely has changed the real estate industry. But whatever, I don't know, whatever it is in life, taking action. When you get frozen, you get stuck. I know that's not it's not a great place to be. But if you do take some action and get out there, whether it be real estate or it doesn't make any difference, just in life, doing the thing gets you unstuck. Mm-hmm. Doing the repetition of whatever it is. And, it's kind of like this. There's days that you don't feel like going to the gym, I'm sure, or to work for that matter, maybe, or making that call or going on that appointment. But those are the days that I know for sure that compound out like incredibly. If I tell my agents all the time, if you only did what you only felt like you were going to do every day, probably not realistic, right? Probably not going to get a lot done.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. And sadly, there are some people that do get into real estate for that, with that work mentality of, well, when I feel like doing it, I will. And then they don't make any money, and it's like, right.
That's called a side hustle, not a job.
That is totally that. And if you were at a job, they'd call that probably fired.
Correct.
Yes, because
it's a hobby.
You have to perform even when you don't want to, and so that's somewhat of, I think, the stalemate that I'm seeing in the real estate market right now. That there's that middle group that just, look, I get it. Nobody wants to make mistakes. Nobody does. Nobody wants to buy a house for $300,000 and then find out in 6 months it's worth $200,000. I mean, nobody does. But here's the thing: you got to live somewhere.
True story.
Right? And what if, I don't know, what if you made that decision in 2018 when the average price home was around $220,000, and now we're sitting at $326? Mm-hmm. You're feeling pretty smart. You're feeling pretty good. Are you feeling pretty lucky?
Yeah.
Right? You rode that wave up very well. Now, it's no fun to write it down, but again, if we go back and look at history, if we go back and look at all the history and data that we have in real estate, I mean, it just continues to go up. And I can remember saying, Keith, when I got into the real estate business, this is 26 years ago, I can remember saying, like, it was a dream to go on a listing appointment and the house was $300,000. Like, it was amazing. I'm like, it was unheard of, right? And I remember somebody telling me, saying, if you look at the history of real estate in the next, 20 plus years, the average price home is going to be $300,000. I was like, there's no way that could be possible. Well, guess what? Here we are.
It is very possible.
It is very possible. Sure. And here's the great thing about North Carolina: we're still considered very affordable in almost all the United States.
Yeah.
This is still one of the. So can it even go higher? Yes, folks, it can even go higher, and that's the conversation we've been having. Is okay, the average price is $322, but it's not in Raleigh, and it's not in Charlotte, and it's not in Wilmington, and it's not in Nashville. Guess what? It's all higher. So could it go higher in the Triad? I believe it will. Yeah. And if we look around as we drive around, you might have noticed that our commercial real estate is absolutely going bananas. Like,
yes.
It is going bananas. The amount of distribution centers that are being built around our highway infrastructure it's unbelievable. I didn't even know this place exists. I just caught a little shine of a window, if you will. I was over off Sandy Ridge Road the other day by the farmer's market, and D.H. Griffin has built a building. It's got to be 50 acres under roof. It is unbelievable how big it is. And it's just going to be in and out, in and out, in and out. I mean, they built an entire road just going to this place.
Between Winston and Burlington, it's crazy.
Yeah, it really is, you know. So, hey, all I can say is get out there, take a look, and, you know, I would consider. The other thing I'm hearing a lot is, Jason, give me a break. My rate is 2.8%. No, I ain't doing nothing. I'm trying to figure out. I'm not moving. I'm celebrating. And here's what I know, and that's great. But sometimes you got to consider things differently. And we've talked about it before. But when I do the math, it makes so much sense. Have you considered renting your house? Because I am talking to a lot of folks, Keith, that are staying in the home that they do not like because of the cheap interest rate.
Sure, cheap money. Yeah.
Cheap money. They love the payment. They hate the house. And maybe some of them even felt like they had to buy it just because it was in the frenzy time. It was crazy. They bought it in that, you know, in the pandemic era or whatever you want to say. But here's what I want you to think about. Have you considered this? Have you considered renting the house, converting it into an asset that pays you, and then take that money every single month? And when I do the math, it is offsetting the new house additional payment that you're paying now because of the higher interest rate. And we're looking at the cash flow on some of these properties. It's $800, $1,000. I even saw one as much as $1,500 they were getting in rent, and just taking that money and they could apply it right into the new house, the house that they really, really want, even though it's at a higher price and a higher interest rate. That rent money was offsetting to where it was zero. Actually, some of it was to a plus.
Well, and we don't talk about it as much. I mean, we've mentioned it a few times on this show, but it's not just the value in homes that's gone up in the triad. Rent is also at maybe as high as it's ever been in the triad. It's gone up along with the cost of houses.
It has. And so you would, you'd be surprised. We have had people very surprised. Like, they couldn't imagine that their home would rent for what it does. And so it's just a different way to look at it. Now, is there risk involved? Well, sure. Yeah, you could get a horrible tenant that doesn't take care of your house or doesn't pay. I mean, those are, sure, yeah, you could. But what's the upside? The upside is you're getting the home, your current house is being paid for by somebody else, and then the premium that you're getting over the mortgage in rent is also paying for your next house. I don't know, if you have kids, you know, that's kind of cool, because my kids, I haven't figured out how to get a profit center coming back into the house with them. And so to have somebody else living in your home, paying you money and paying your mortgage off and paying your house off, that's kind of cool, because the kids in my house are an expense, not a, you know, just not going. It's not going the other way, right? No, not at all. And so if you look at it as it's a tangible asset now that you own, and here's the thing, that house, I mean, if all homes go up in value, I would think that house would as well. And where I see folks that get into rent trouble is typically when they do it a little bit out of desperation, and they put somebody in there without doing a really good job of qualifying them, you know, or they hired a management company, but they're kind of not a management company. They kind of do it as a side hustle, if you will. So you want to make sure you hire a company that actually goes in there and checks on your property, and they've got a system and a process where at least once a quarter, if minimum every 6 months, they're going into your home to look at it and check it out. I mean, what you don't want to do is, one of my agents met somebody, he inherited the home, and he had a tenant in there, and Jesse's like, he got out of the car and he walked over and he's like, hey, I don't know what we're walking into. I haven't been inside since 1993. Okay, well, we got some photos, and let me tell you, he is wishing he would have went in there way before now. This house is, it is in tough shape. So those are things to think about. You know, could you, here's the other thing I want you to look at the difference. Like, okay, we got the gap bridge perhaps. Here's another benefit. There's not as many homes, right? And so you're going to have some competition. Well, what do you think is going to happen if interest rates drop? It's going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
Because I can't even tell you how many. At this point, we've probably talked to thousands of you that have said, "Oh, when the rates drop, I'll buy." Okay, still going to have an inventory problem, guys.
Good luck.
Yeah. So we might go back to the crazy, 45 offers per house. And here's the thing. Right now, it's great because there's less competition. Yeah, sure. There are some houses that we're still seeing the multiple offers, but not like the craziness that we had before. And so if the rates do drop, you can refinance. So like there's, 3 wins in this deal, right? The old house, you turn it into an asset that's paying you and somebody else is doing it. You get the house you want, which is great. The upside, if rates drop, well, here's the thing. You don't have to be in that fight of that multiple offers and all that craziness, So I don't know, maybe 4 different things, but you get my point. It's right now it's calm. Yeah, prices are still holding very strong in the housing, but if the rates do drop, like everybody is really wanting, it's just going to be mayhem again.
You won't be able to get a house.
No, it'll be tough.
I mean, I guess the other thing I'm curious about is, we had our first presidential debate a couple of days ago, which means it is officially into election season. We're officially there now. I mean,
right.
Do you see an impact on the real estate market from the election right now, or are we still too far away to really be able to gauge that?
Yeah, we're getting, we're definitely talking to some folks now that are saying, and maybe it's, the kickoff of that election, and you're starting a little more TV ads, radio ads.
Yeah.
They haven't been blowing up my phone like they did last time yet.
But again, we had our first debate, so it's coming.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. It is definitely coming. But we are hearing definitely some folks saying, they kind of want to wait and see. And, I get it. And it's nothing special to this one. I mean, really, we have heard that. Every presidential election I've been in real estate, I've heard that for years, regardless of the home prices, the interest rates. I mean, we've been in the best real estate markets with the lowest interest rates, and people still will be like, let me just see what happens in November.
This goes,
yeah. So I don't think it's anything special to 2024. Although, well, I don't know. I don't think the message is any different now that I think about it. It's always been, if my guy doesn't win, the world will melt and it'll be all over. Yeah.
Of course. No
matter what the economy is. But, so think about it, guys. Even back in the good old days, and buyers and sellers waited, but guess what? Then it was an expensive wait, because typically the economy keeps marching on no matter what the political turmoil may be, if you will, if that's even the right word to use. But it is always going to keep on moving. So if the rates go up or down, I don't know that a presidential election has anything to do with it. I think it's you not taking action that influences the economy that makes it go up or down. That's the big takeaway. Yes, that's the big takeaway I wanted you to get.